Stop recording. All right. If we haven't met before, my name is Melissa Lazaro. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communication, and just a short feature of today's webinar. We'll be chatting later on about marketing and some of the reciprocal marketing efforts that we've put together for you guys. But I'm going to pass it over to Molly, who is the star of today, as well as our customers that are here on this call. So thank you so much for joining us. The webinar is being recorded, and any resources shared during today's webinar will be shared in an email following up today's webinar. If you have a quick question that you want to throw in the chat, please feel free to do so. If you feel like it's going to require a more extensive kind of answer, we will have question and answer periods after each section of today's webinar. So go ahead and you can hold your questions to the end if you'd like, or you feel free to put them in the Q&A as well. If it's something, if we say something and you're like, well, what about this particular instance with my company and my particular situation? If that's the case, Molly's going to be happy to answer those questions for you. In fact, we have her Calendly link on one of these slides. So you can book an appointment with her and just kind of talk out your situation with her. But if it's a question that's going to benefit the whole audience, please feel free to ask that. So Molly, without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Molly Perry.
Well, thank you, Melissa. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad that you could join us today. We know that it is, every day is busy, right? And keeping up with everything personally and professionally. So thanks for taking some time out of today. We are going to go over today some really exciting changes that we want to share with you at MindPrint. And so that's going to be most of the focus of today's, but we are also going to cover a few different things too, pricing packages, and, of course, we'll have that question and answer session at the very end. But as Melissa said, we're going to have question and answer kind of through those what's new products, features, and marketing after each of those. So a little bit about me. I mean, my MindPrint journey, some of you I have met, not everybody, but it began for me about 7 years ago when I had a child who was struggling in middle school, particularly when it came to tests. And as a teacher myself, couldn't figure it out. Her teachers couldn't figure it out. The counselors couldn't figure it out because all I heard was such a hard worker, studies, da, 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 da. So I came across MindPrint and used it, and we figured out barriers and we figured out next steps. And at that moment, I was sold on it. And that's my personal journey with it. And that led to, of course, a more professional journey as I began to implement it into my own business. So MindPrint is very dear to me. I also, had my youngest son take it. And it gave us a strong indication of why he was struggling in math. And, it's just a gift. It's just really a gift. So a little bit more about me. I live in Minnesota and just outside of Minneapolis. It's actually a very balmy, nearly 90 degrees today, which might surprise many of you who are in a different part of the country. I have lived here, well, just about my whole life. So you may get that little bit of a Minnesota for me. I was a teacher, graduated from college with a teaching degree and taught high school and did coaching for over 10 years. My next part of my professional journey was utilizing that education background, and that was opening up Academic All-Star Services in 2010. And still open to this day. And we started off small, just like many of you have, just doing maybe, one facet either. We start off with just academic tutoring, but we soon added ACT prep. And then because of my experience with my own children in 2016, so I've been with MindPrint quite a while, we added MindPrint to our service because I wanted the families to get the same experience I did, really. And so, I've been using MindPrint for a long time. And I think I'm going to be in the MindPrint Hall of Fame I'm pretty sure of that because it was my academic all-star services that actually was able to sell to a tutoring a school, our local middle school. They started to implement MindPrint in their Avid program. So I wholeheartedly believe in MindPrint. As Melissa said, there is my contact information. You can see my email, my phone number, but probably more importantly, for those of you who I haven't met before, or if you're having a concern that you want to share with me, is my Calendly link to make sure that you can just set up a short appointment with me. And if we haven't met, get to meet each other. I know I'm stepping into some pretty big shoes with Neil. We know Neil is moving into selling MindPrint internationally, and God bless him, because I have just, one country to cover, and now Neil has the world to cover. But I'm excited. I know that he has had a great relationship with many of you, and I want to continue that relationship. And we wish Neil nothing but the best. And we hope that this transition from Neil to Molly so far has been pretty seamless, and that it will continue to be, especially for those of you that I just initially meet up with in maybe the weeks to come. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Susan, because this is one very exciting new thing that we want to share with tutoring companies. We are very excited that we can bring this to you and help your business grow. So go ahead, Susan.
I was like, I'll remind myself to unmute right before I started, and I forgot. So my name is Susan. I have been with MindPrint for about 3 years, and I am coming from the teacher, instructional coach, and tutor background. And I work on the data and the curriculum. And the Boost course has been used in schools for the past 2 years, and we have now made a asynchronous one-on-one course for tutoring companies and independent educators to use. Now, the whole point of the Boost course is really to help the kids learn better. So when you think about the kids that are showing up and reaching out to you initially for why they might need a tutor, you might have that group of kids that they just really, the parents want a little extra push. They're really great students. They might just want a little enrichment or acceleration. And when they show up to you, whether you're a content or subject specific tutor or a test prep tutor, they just absorb everything they give you. You give them, and they're ready to go. You don't have to do much of a lift at all. They're like, green light, go ahead. And then you have a bunch of kids that are showing up to you for mixed reasons. It might be a particular subject. It might be overall academic tutoring. It might be for test prep. And you're doing things, and just like Molly's example, where her daughter's studying so hard and not seeing the results, you might be working with a bunch of kids where you're giving them the content. You're the expert in that area. And then you might not see the follow through, or you might not see the results that you're getting, or they're getting it in session. And then for some reason you're hearing back that in classroom, they're not transferring it, or their test scores are not getting it. And it's because they might not be using or understanding the most effective strategies for how they learn and for how they should be studying. So this course is to build those strong study habits. You're also, on your side, you're doing your content delivery as always, but then this course is a way to also look at their MindPrint profile and say, not only do I know how I can help you learn, but I'm going to teach you how to then study the right way. So everything that I'm giving you, everything that your teachers are giving you can be put into practice, and you're going to see exponential results instead of the way that you've been learning now. The course is to develop self-awareness, self-efficacy. It grows their motivation, because instead of just doing all this hard work and getting frustrated, they're going to actually see results because they're using the efficient strategies instead of whatever they've been using up to this point. And then through all of that, not only does their social emotional improve, but then it also leads to academic performance improvements. So on the next slide, I'm just going to go very specifically over. I don't want you to think about overwhelm. There's a lot on this page, but I just want to break it down of how easy it is to implement. So the course itself has 13 lessons, and they're really flexible. And what it could be, it says approximately 30 minutes. You could do 15 minutes and break it up over 2 sessions. You could do a 30-minute period. You could do it any way that actually fits your schedule for that particular student or a small group of students if you work that way. The one-on-one course is an asynchronous Google Classroom. So say you're interested and you're like, I've got 4 students I want to use this for. You get to go to Google Classroom and everything is inside of it for you. You have to do absolutely no planning, no work. Everything is already created in an activity, in videos, a boost journal, which is where they track their strategy usage. Everything is already there at your fingertips. So the lift, whether it's yourself or another tutor in your company that's doing the course, doesn't have to do any prep and it's already written out for them. And then there's a boost survey component also part of it that the students can take in the beginning and the end, and it measures their social emotional skills like self-efficacy and growth mindset that we talked about. So you can also have an additional measure besides what you're seeing in their improvement in their habits and their academic performance, but then also look at how they're improving in terms of their own measure of being able to study the right way or have the right strategies. Who it's for is middle and high school students. So you try to think about when you're in elementary school, it's a lot of passive learning. The kids go to school, if they're on the right track of being able to take in the information, they're doing okay. And when they switch to either middle school or high school, the weight and the amount of work that they have to do is going to shift. The responsibility for studying and learning is more on their shoulders than what's happening in the class. So whenever you have a transitional grade level, whether it's a particular test that they have to take on, or particularly if they were in a school, even if they move into a different learning environment, this course is really great for them. Or if you have a student where you know that's head scratching environment where you're like, they get it with me, but then it's not transferring. Or I'm hearing that there's barriers, there's feedback from their parents or their teachers that there's something getting in the way here. It's probably because they might not have those study strategies. They might not understand the way they learn best. That's getting in the way from them doing their best. This course, so it depends on the structure. Maybe you have specific 45-minute or an hour-long period. You can do this woven into that structured setting. You might take the first 10 to 15 minutes to teach them the strategy that they need. And you can spend a little targeted time, like, I'm going to teach you how to do your homework in the most effective way. And then the second part of your lesson or time with that student could be content related. You could do a particular one lesson, getting us started, and say, I'm going to do some study skills tutoring sessions with you. You could do it that way. It's totally flexible and it's based on what fits best for your tutoring structure as well as the students in front of you. And then the most important part is that there's 3 different sequences that you can follow. There, or 4 actually. The general, where if you're just interested that this student or this group of students need an entire study skills course, you can follow it 13 lessons straight through. If you know that if you're a math tutor and you really want to take a math focus, we can have a math scope and sequence where you know specifically what lessons you should be using to target those math skills and study habits. Same thing with reading. And then we know the buzzword on the street, particularly after the pandemic, is the executive functions. And so there's an executive function scope and sequence. And this really gets into helping the students learn, organize, do their homework, and take tests in the most effective ways. So that is also a part of the course where you are taking the executive function lens, and every lesson is touching upon a different aspect of executive functions. From, like I said, the homework time to the test taking time to all of that in between. And the lessons also can be extended. So if you know that flexible thinking is a particular area of concern for a student or a group of students, you can spend a little time developing that student's flexible thinking and thinking about what strategies you should be using to help that student improve their problem solving and their flexible thinking in all aspects of their learning. So then I'm trying not to go too fast, but I don't want you to read this screen. This is just an example of the topics that you'll find in the course. So you'll see the first 3 lessons are set no matter what scope and sequence you want to take, because it introduces them to how the brain works. They take the assessment, and then they learn about their profile. So this is a strengths-based course. They do not see the MindPrint profile that you may be familiar with using. It is not any of that bucket of, high strength or skill to support. It is strictly a strengths-based course to get them understanding what is their relative strengths in those 3 big domains. All of the lessons after that is a choose your own adventure. If you're taking the math sequence, you're going to be really thinking about the topics that are going to strengthen that student's math learning, memorizing, thinking flexibly, homework focus, pacing, test taking. if you're in executive functions sequence, which I know many of you are interested in, it's really going to be paying attention to the executive functions and how they play out into the different areas of their independent studying and learning, and then also into the classroom so they can transfer those skills. And then I think the final aspect, now there's a lot of text on this page, but these are actually student quotes from the kids that have taken the course. And I think that speaks volumes in terms of, we always think about, we want to see the grade improve, we want to see the test score go up, but then we also want to pay attention to the kids and the way that you might have kids come in with their confidence and I'm a math instructional coach, so I always tend to take a math lens of like, the kids I tutor usually come in and they might not love math. They probably have, by the time they hit 7th grade, probably identified not as a strong math student. And here it's like, I'm going to give you a strategy. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could do it this way. This makes sense to me. I can feel better about the way I'm learning and performing in a particular subject. So within here, these are just 4 different examples of the ways that students have actually been impacted for the positive, that transferred their learning for a lifelong habit that is really going to improve the way that they're not just learning right now, but in the future. So I think I got everything, but if there's any questions, I haven't checked the chat, but if you think of anything, I'm going to pass it back to Molly. I'll be happy to answer anything afterwards. Molly, you're muted.
Yep, got it. Right after this slide, we'll have a little bit of time for question and answers too. So, because this will be the last of the boost slide courses. So thank you, Susan. That's really just kind of a great overview, sort of the tip of the iceberg. The nitty gritty, once you get in and see it, it's quite the amazing piece of curriculum that the team has created. So as you think about well, how can this help my business? Well, there's a lot of different ways that it definitely can. And one, you can use this one-to-one if you would like with students, and you could also use it with a small group of students. Having a tutor working with a small group and going through that. So there's, the opportunity to use it in a couple of different venues. We do know we're a data company in so many ways. We're evidence-based, and that we do know that it helps with self-efficacy and the growth mindset. And so to me, that's a funnel right there to your business. When you have these students gaining confidence and doing better at school, boy, are parents going to refer other families to you. And then think about now as we're getting close to the school year starting, and think about opportunities that might be coming. You have a lot of parents of 8th graders who are worried, like, oh my gosh, how is my child going to handle high school this year coming up? And so you can think about ways that this could be really marketed to them, or freshmen who are starting that high school year and they are having a hard time adjusting. Whether it be time management, organization, they're missing assignments, the tests are harder, whatever that it might be. Juniors and seniors, maybe you have done test prep with them, and now you're like, hey, we can help you get ready for college in terms of their study skills, because we know college too is a whole nother level for these kids to make an adjustment. And those college kids who maybe you worked with, who have been struggling a little bit. And so the family reaches back out to you and says, can you help my college student, not just with the academic stuff, but they're really struggling. And then targeting kids who have, skills that are lower, like in attention, working memory, and any other skills. So there's so many ways that this could be marketed to families to, support their children. And so, if you have some other ideas, as your mind is kind of thinking through this, be sure to share, because, I think there's unlimited opportunity for this. And now the cost, as you can see, super reasonable. It's $25 a student to get them enrolled. And that, will include access basically to this Google Classroom. You'll get your own Google Classroom. You'll be able to put your students in there. If you think that this is something that you're going to want to use a lot, The unlimited might be a good avenue for you with $1,500. That's unlimited usage for a whole year. That works out to be about $60, or excuse me, 60 students would be in the 1,500, just to give you an idea. So you're thinking, I bet you we could use this a lot, maybe work with 100 students or 200 students over the next year. That might be a good avenue to go with that. And of course, this is something new. And so we are going to, provide some flyers too that companies can co-brand if you go for that unlimited as well. So many different ways to help you grow your business really here, building off of MindPrint. So we're excited to bring this to you. And I hope you're excited to look at implementing this.
So we have a few questions, Molly, in the chat.
Okay.
One of the questions was, is this course only online? And I know that Susan had responded to that question, but if you could just, sort of announce that, Susan, and address that question, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So the course, as you would purchase it, is the asynchronous one-on-one course, meaning that you can assign it to students. However, the components, the lesson details are all in there. So there's no reason why you can't actually do the lesson in person. There's videos in there that you could share. All those lessons also have lesson slides. So if you were doing a small group of students in person, you have those resources there and you could just pull them up and use the materials with the students in front of you instead of signing them through Google Classroom.
The question is, do we have a sample lesson that we could share with the tutoring companies?
Sample materials are under development and they will be ready as soon as possible and they'll be shared out.
Okay. And then somebody was asking about the efficacy of the survey that's being used. Yeah.
Sure. So the course, as I said, it was used in schools for the past 2 years. We were awarded 2 National Science Foundation grants starting in 2020. And so under the National Science Foundation grant, we created this survey with our research partner, CAST. And we also have another research partner under the MIT Brain Lab. So the survey going for the past 2 years was was researched and created through that partnership. And the before and after results are evaluated through a regression analysis. I won't bore you with the details, but when you get the survey results, you'll have the appendix of it that will go through how the statistical analysis is done between the before and after results. So everything was done through research with partnerships of neuroscientists in the field.
Great. One question they had is, will there be any training for how to implement the course?
So the good news is that the course should be relatively pain-free, train-free, meaning there'll be an implementation, like 1 or 2 pager of basically, hey, how do I get the Google Classroom? If you're familiar with Google Classroom, you shouldn't have to do anything. You'll see the lessons pop up. You'll see all the topics. Within each topic, there's a lesson overview, the materials that you would need, the anything that you are going to assign to a student, the boost journal, everything is already created for you in the Google Classroom. All you would have to do is, if you're doing it online, is add your student and post away and go through it that way. If you're not familiar with Google Classroom, the lift will be a little bit more for you, that you would have to just familiarize yourself with Google Classroom. So you will get a implementation guide of just, how do I access it? How do I get started? FAQs. But other than that, you should not require any training. The schools that we use and that they get a course PDF, we don't have to, they get the course and they're up, they read, they see the lesson and they're up and running. So of the 2 years we've done it, it's been a very easy lift on the teachers because we know between tutors and teachers, they don't have time to add, plan, or do anything extra than they're already doing. So the course was developed with that in mind.
And so what would that look like? Would the difference between, the question is in the chat, if I'm doing it one-on-one with the student versus doing it in a small group, would the difference just be my selection of sequence that I'm choosing based on the student's needs, or would the execution look any different for one-on-one versus small group?
The execution won't look different in terms of the topics are going to be the same, the prompts are going to be the same, the activities will be the same. The only difference there's a benefit for small group if you wanted the kids to share out how they tried strategy, share out experiences of Oh, when I used, using visual flashcards or flashcards with pictures, I'm just pulling a random strategy. This worked for me, or this didn't work for me. You could do like a study skills mini course and group kids together that have similar needs in terms of what topics you want, but they might have a range of strengths, and which creates a little bit of a dynamic conversation of like, oh, I learned better this way, or I learned better that way. Or you might want to pair kids similarly and be like, let's really dig in this together. So it's really about the individual students, and then if you want to pair them out, great, but you're not going to have to change anything in how you're delivering the course, whether you have one or a few.
Okay. And then one final clarifying question is, did someone say there's 4 boost options? It's study skills, math, reading, or executive function. I think they might be alluding to maybe the sequences that you can put together.
Yeah, so there's one boost course, but you'll have, if you want, and if you just buy the general boost course, there's just a general scope and sequence with the 13 lessons. 1, 2, 3 are set in order, and then the rest are in order of where we see particular, trending needs of, flexible thinking is towards the top. Math and reading are always, necessary. So they're ordered that way as a general scope and sequence. But if you're taking a particular lens, you also have those 3 other options where you're really diving deep into a math scope and sequence. You're really going to dive deep into a reading scope and sequence, or you're looking at an executive function scope and sequence. Because if you're an executive function scope and sequence, you might not want to spend your time on this other lesson. So we're just trying to make it easy for which lesson should I be doing if I have this particular focus in my mind for these students.
Okay. One final question, and then I see some detailed questions in the chat that Molly can follow up with you specifically and get back to you on that. And if for some reason I miss that question passing off to Molly, please directly reach out to her. The final question, because we have a couple other sections to cover today, and we know there's going to be questions about that stuff too, is there sort of a minimum or maximum recommended size? I mean, I guess the minimum would be 1-to-1, right? But is there like a maximum small group that you would recommend?
Maximum is really how much you can manage in a room and make sure that everyone's engaged and focused. So if you have done a small group with 6 kids and you want to use this course with those 6 kids, go for it. If you know with your particular students that after 3 kids, one kid sort of puts his head to the side and starts mimicking that he's paying attention, well, that might be the best number. But the course can be used with any number that's going to fit the needs of your particular learning environment.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much, Susan. Molly, I think we're going to move on to the next section, right?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for all those questions. And like Melissa said, feel free to reach out to me and, with any specific questions that I can follow up with, because again, just kind of for the time issue. But again, I just know that I'm hearing from so many of you that I've met with already that executive functions are just something that is on everybody's radar, from your radar to parents' radar. So I just think this can be a really, really good fit. And now the curriculum's done. I mean, it's amazing. So.
Gotcha. Byron had a great question, but Byron, let's hold that till the end because, or I can just address it right now, is you're taking the boost course after you've taken the MindPrint assessment, right? So you can't take the boost course if you haven't taken the MindPrint assessment, just to clarify that really quick. Is that correct? So
if you're going to be doing the boost course, if you're doing the boost course, the assessment's actually lesson 2. When the kids take the MindPrint assessment, so you can get the general MindPrint overview, and as you're getting your results in and you see this group of students and there might be a particular weakness, my instinct is you're going to be using probably a combination of when you're thinking about the boost course, you're probably already thinking of particular students that you're working with that you're like, oh, I could be like, why is my work not getting as much as I would anticipate? Or the parents that are coming to you and with these particular words in their mind, like, their homework is a mess. They don't know how to organize. Their test taking, doesn't match where they want. That's where the Boost course is really designed to. So yes, of course, MindPrint results will give you the objective data you need. And you might see a flag in there like, oh, their flexible thinking is a skill to support. I really want to make sure that I am doing the flexible thinking lesson. So it is designed so that when you look at the results afterwards, you can be like, I really want to make sure I touch upon that. But you don't have to look at the results and then decide which course of action you're going to do. You can just get the course and go through. And as you're looking and learning about the student, see like, oh, I want to spend a little extra time on this. They didn't think about the strategy. This is a particular area that's coming up again and again. So there isn't a whole lot of interpretation, but it is that two-part where you get their MindPrint profile with their objective data, and they get their student-based strengths student learner profile. So if you use that already with your students, you're familiar with, let's take a look at your profile. Here are your strengths. Let's take a look at strategies that are going to match those strengths. And I'm going to show you how to use them in the particular areas of learning and studying.
Okay. No, I think that's great. So thank you, Susan, for the clarification on that. And Byron, if you have any other additional questions, please set up an appointment with Molly. She'd be more than happy to talk about what that would look like in your business setup. All right. So reciprocal marketing and referral. So this is where Molly and I are going to tag team, but I'm going to go ahead and let Molly kick us off.
Okay. Well, thanks, Melissa. We know that throughout the years, basically a lot of you have been, well, I guess I was going to the referrals first. We've got to do their marketing first. We have a marketing program that, has been set up where we have, given you flyers and different things like that. But what we are doing now is we have categorized our partners, you as our partners, into premium area, professional area based on the volume. And we'll hit on this a little bit more too, the volume of sales that we've had from your company over the last couple of years. And with our reciprocal marketing, we want to make sure that you are on our website, that when people come to our website, if they see you on there, they know that you are one of our partners and they are going to be able to reach out to you to learn more about MindPrint or your other services. So our premium partners, we're going to put a logo on our tutor page, and then our pro level tier, we're going to have your logo, and then we're also going to have a backlink for that. We also have available for those premium and pro level partners various flyers that can be co-branded. So we'll have your information on there along with our own information. And so we're excited that we can continue to offer you this marketing opportunity with us to be a partner. When it comes to the referral program, for years you guys have been referring us to other companies, and we've always appreciated it. But now we want to give you a really formal thank you to say thank you for sending somebody to us. And so if you refer another company to us and they purchase with us, another tutoring or test prep company, you can get anywhere from 1 to 5 credits in your account, depending on the company's purchase. And also we want you to be a partner for us with schools like I did back, a number of years ago, and reached out to my local school. I know a lot of you have great relationships with the schools, the students from the schools that you have in the area. And we would love if you would connect them to us. And if you do that, we're going to give you 10 MindPrint credits in your account if we end up getting a purchase for them. So that's nice to get some free credits in your bank. But then also, hey, you might have some shopping to do, or every other day you get an Amazon package delivered to your house anyways. So anytime you give us a referral, you should shoot a referral to me. I am going to pass that on, if it's a school, to who it needs to go to. For me, if it's a tutoring company, I'm going to reach out to them. You're going to automatically be entered in a quarterly drawing for a $250 Amazon gift card. So this is something that's new that we wanted to share with you too. We value so much your support over the years and want to show our appreciation in giving you some free credits.
All right. I think it's going over to me now.
I think it is.
Okay. All right. Great. I just wanted to go over some quick branding guidelines, as well as my camera's over here, but the screen's over here. So if you see me looking back and forth, I've got two screens going on today. So just a quick word about branding guidelines, just making sure that everyone, especially, our new people probably already know this because you've newly joined us and you've got the branding guidelines. But if you've been with us for a while, there's been some shifts in our brand over the years. And so we just want to make sure that you use the capital P in MindPrint learning, making sure that you're using the correct logo. So making sure that the logo has that capital P in it, making sure that you're using the correct colors of our branding. And of course, if you have any questions about what that looks like, or if it's correct, you can always reach out to me. I'll put my contact information in the chat. But Molly could always get that to you as well. One point of clarification is that if you, the University of Pennsylvania, Pearl Medicine School of Medicine did create the assessment, and we've done a lot of work with NSF as well as NIH, but we don't have permission to use those logos. And if you use any of these names in any of your content or copy on your website, we need to get permission before that's used. So if you have MindPrint used on your website or listed on your website, great. We just want to make sure that the language is following our branding guidelines, and that we're also being respectful to the partnerships that we've had with these different organizations. So on to that. If you need a copy of our standard language, I'm more than happy to provide that to you. So making sure that everybody is describing MindPrint in the same way. And then it matches what we're saying on our website too. And we also have a marketing index. So we're capturing any of our customers that have, that promote MindPrint on their website or promote MindPrint in any of their collateral, that you just let us know what that is. So before it goes up on your website, before you start publishing that as collateral, if you wouldn't mind, please just running that by us really quickly. You want to make sure that you've got the latest and the greatest in terms of language and branding, and that we can go ahead and index that and keep track of that, so that if anything does shift in the future, if any of our branding or our standard language does shift, you'll be the first to know, because we'll have that recorded that you have MindPrint on your website. A couple of other reminders is if you're creating any social media posts, I know I've worked closely with Byron over in Albuquerque. He's been great to work with, and his partner that does social media. If you have any social media posts that are including MindPrint, again, just making sure that we're following those branding and guidelines in the standard language. And then finally, if you're reposting any of MindPrint's great webinar events that we have, just making sure that you're posting that as, featuring a MindPrint, not necessarily saying, this is our event that we're doing. We love that you're our partner and our customer, but we also just want to always be clear that, whose events it is, right? So I think that's just a few words in terms of marketing. One thing that you'll see next as we go over the different packages is just what's offered to you in terms of marketing based on those different packages. So you want to be paying attention to that. And if you have any questions about it, please run it by me. I think there might have been a typo in the last slide, so that's why I'm going to bring you back to the pricing packages that you have, Molly. So thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information in the chat. And if you haven't already submitted your website or your collateral to our marketing department, please do that in the next couple of weeks. That would be really helpful for us. So thanks for joining us today. All right, Molly, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Oh, any questions on the marketing aspect?
I forgot there's a question section for me too. Yeah.
There's one question in there, Melissa.
Okay.
Simeon, are there any tagging schemas that MindPrint prefers during social posting?
Yeah, so we do the hashtag MindPrint learning. One hashtag that we're trying to get going that I think would be great for you guys to use too is hashtag using my strategies, which goes really nicely in with the Boost Yourself course. So if you ever have questions about that, please, I've got a laundry list on an Excel spreadsheet somewhere of ones that relate to MindPrint. So if you want to get creative with me, I'd be happy to set up a call with you. Thanks. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Moving on to the fun stuff, the new packages that we have, Molly.
Okay, sounds good. Before we get to the packages or the packages as far as our companies and partners, we have some exciting news coming up very, very soon. I think it should say fall, not full coming soon, but fall coming soon. And this fall, in just another couple of months, we hope to have MindPrint basically 2.0 launched. We've grown a lot, in the years that MindPrint has been around. And with all that growth, with adding so many more students and bells and whistles, we've needed to upgrade. And that upgrade has been a process, as many of you can imagine. It takes some time. And so there's some changes coming on that horizon. We'll have another kind of training when this is ready to launch for the tutoring companies, where I'll go over the different bells and whistles and how it's different. But things for you to know now as it's coming down the road. One is there's going to be no changes to the MindPrint assessment or the student learner profile. So that's going to stay the same. There are going to be some changes to the MindPrint profile and the academic dashboard. And again, I will be showing those to you when we get ready to launch that for you guys, our partners there. And what's exciting about this now is individual students are going to be able to log in to take the assessment instead of having to copy the URL or add the parents. So there's going to be less steps for that. So that's going to be nice to do. And when you are looking for those students, especially those of you who have used, lots and lots of student reports, have them in your account, there's going to be better search options and sorting and so on. And the student dashboards have gotten a little bit slower. We know that. And so there's going to be faster downloads, a lot faster downloads that are going to be coming. So that'll be exciting. And then direct links too from the dashboards to the student reports. So lots of exciting things happening with our new website that, again, will be coming soon. We don't want to necessarily give you a particular date, but we know it is just around the corner. So you'll be hearing more from me on that when we are ready to launch that. And now on to the pricing packages, which for those of you who really have been our partners, this isn't going to be a huge change at all for you. It's a lot of kind of going forward. So we're going to go through the different pricing packages that we'll have available to our companies going forward. The thing that we know here at MindPrint, and we have some of you who are solo tutors. And then we have some of you who maybe is kind of like my business has been, where I have a staff of, anywhere from 10 to 20 tutors. And then there's some of you who have multi-site, organizations where you have a lot of tutors, you have a lot of other staff that are involved. And so we want to offer you the support that you need based on the needs of your company. And so that's why we kind of came up with this tiered process. Can you go? Okay. So new customers. So this isn't you, because you guys are all invited on this call. You are, considered our existing customers, but we're going to now be offering sort of a starter bundle. And based on your company size and your need, there's going to be a certain number of credits, and we're going to go into more specifics in that in a little bit. Profile reviews, professional learning options, marketing, and so on. And so this is just a one-time fee that is paid for that starter bundle, $69 to $499. So very reasonable. But you, because they're so thankful that you've entrusted us for a while now, you're going to be grandfathered in based on your cumulative purchases from 2021. So we took a look at that. Some of you have purchased over $5,000 since 2021. And so you'll be at the professional level. We ask that going forward, our goal is for you to stay at that professional level, that you will purchase a minimum of 75 a year. And those of you who fall into the next category, 2,500 to 4,999, we ask that you will purchase at least 20 a year going forward. So again, you're not paying that starter bundle fee. You guys have been with us a while. We appreciate that. And then another change that's going to be coming with the new website is you're going to be able to purchase SAT, ACT reports directly from the new site. And starting in 2024, January 1st, you're going to be able to purchase those for $10, but no charge until that point in time. And then going forward, the rest of the remainder of this year, the price for the assessments, we plan no changes, but there will be some single-digit price increase happening in 2024 as well. Next one, Melissa, if you could. So we can email this out to you, and this kind of goes into a little bit more of the specifics of the packages, but we wanted to see kind of how we have it broken down. You know, we will do the one-on-one profile reviews with you. Many of you, we've done those already. You've been partners for a long time. You don't need that support, but we want to offer that support, especially if you're not familiar with these reports when you join us as a newer customer. But then after that, we've gotten so big that it is really hard to do all of the profile reviews ongoing. So we want to make sure, you know, that we can give you that time at the beginning in the bundle package, and then going forward, if you need some more time, we'll certainly make the time to do that. But you know, there will be different opportunities for, you know, science of learning and all that sort of stuff that many of you have done. But, you know, we've grown a lot, that's for sure. And it mentions too on here, you'll see that the, you know, MindPrint prices, the referral program. So all of that is on there for your reference, all this information that we went into today. So yeah, so I think that's it for the packages. So you see those 3 tiers, just again, based on the needs that different companies at different levels have.
Are we moving on to questions?
Yes, I think so. I think questions are next.
So I think that's the whole slide deck, right? So that was everything we wanted to cover today. So now we're in the general session of Q&A. So opening it up to any and all questions. There was some concern, like, what if I'm a newbie and I've only purchased this amount so far? Where am I going to fall into? And our CEO is answering in the chat right now. And she said, not to worry, we're going to take care of you. Follow up with Molly. So for those specific questions, please follow up with Molly. There was a general question though from my compadre and Chris from San Diego. Can SAT and ACT reports be purchased later on? So if a parent isn't interested at first, but weeks later becomes interested, how is that going to be handled, Molly?
Yes, they should be able to be purchased later on. If they don't purchase it initially, would be my understanding. I don't know if Nancy has a different answer to that. But my understanding would be that they'd be able to purchase it down the road.
Okay, great.
Oh, here's another question from Byron. How do you handle leads that individual offices have generated that come to you? Are they referred back or ?
How do you handle individual leads? Can you say that again, Barb?
I think he might be referring to anybody that's referred.
Yeah.
Byron, I know you, I think you're muted, so you can't chime in here and talk to us right now, but I think he's referring to the referral program. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so if you refer individual companies to us, they purchase, you know, depending on the tier that they are going in at, whether it be essential, whether it be the premier, the Pro, then we will enter those credits into your account. So it all, the number of credits is based on the tier that they go into.
Okay. There was a question on, there was that image from the pricing sheet that we'll be sharing with you. And one of them said educator assessment. That was just our easiest way of capturing. We have some ed therapists on the call. We also have tutors on the call. So just calling it an educator assessment. So that's what we're referring to, is if any of your tutors or an ed therapist themselves would like to take the assessment, that's what that's referring to.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other questions? Barb, did something catch your attention that maybe we should address?
I think we got all of them.
Yeah. Nancy did a great job assessing, going through and taking a look at this too. Oh, one question was, what information will students get with the login? And do we have any control over that? So when I think the student assessment, when they log in, they take the assessment themselves, but then do they see their own report, or how does that work? Anybody know?
I don't know. I would think that they would be able to possibly see the student learner profile in the new system with the new login. They would not be able to see for sure the MindPrint profile, but the student learner profile would probably be something that would be very good for them to have access to in their account.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like
we will, yeah.
Oh, Nancy, go ahead.
Yep, sorry. We'll be able to set preferences. So if it'll be a universal preference, but you'll be able to say, I want all my students to be able to see their student learner profile when they log in, and they'll be able to, or I don't want them to, and I'll share it with them when I'm ready.
Okay.
Hopefully that answered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there's another last question. Kathy is asking, does marketing have our info from 2020/2021 already?
Likely not, since I joined last summer. So if you want to go ahead and send me some links or send me your information, I'd be happy to take a look at that with you. No problem. Any way I can help, I'm here to help. So what kind of got glazed over, I think, on one of the slides is that we do have some really great marketing material that's available for, I believe it's for premium and for pro. And so we'll be happy to share that with you after the call if that's where you qualify. So really excited about these new tools that we have for you guys.
And there was a question that I answered previously about current customers being concerned that we have information that Neil had, that the sharing of information, and absolutely Molly has your history and has your history of purchases, et cetera, et cetera. But if you have a concern about that, please feel free to call Molly to double check that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
To smooth transition.
Yeah. I'm somebody asked for my contact information. It's just melissa@mindprintlearning.com. I'm happy to type that in right now if you guys want to capture that. So feel free to ping me. Well, we're really excited about all these new offerings that we have at MindPrint, from product to the new course offering, to marketing tools to support your business and help you grow. And if you have any specific questions, please reach out to Molly. And we appreciate your time today. And thank you, Susan, for joining us and explaining the Boost course, and Barb and Nancy for fielding the chat. We really appreciate everybody being here today.
Yeah, and definitely reach out to me if there's some more information that you'd like emailed to you, the marketing guidelines. If you don't reach out to Melissa, you can reach out to me. If you want information on the flyers, all that sort of stuff, happy to share that information on the Boost course. Like, people are asking for a sample. As soon as we get that, we're going to send it out to you to make sure that you have it. So that will be just very soon as well.
Thanks, everybody.
I just wanted to, the reason we do have the Boost course, we're upgrading it over the summer. So for the new back to school year. And so those changes are just being made, and we don't want you to have an old version and then say, it doesn't look exactly like this. it changed. So we're talking days, maybe weeks, but certainly not months, closer to days. So just be patient with us. Okay. Susan, you want to add anything to that?
No, I was going to say it is ready for fall 2023, and it's just being fine tuned in terms of visually and making sure that everything is set to go. So early August would be the latest that you'll be able to have a sample. So look forward to it. I just want to clarify too, when about the specifics of the course and mapping to profile. The course itself is for you to pick the topics, but what the student's going to get, the student journey in terms of the strategies, is all 100% based on their MindPrint cognitive skills. So you are not doing the guesswork in terms of what strategy should I be giving this. It's really maximized their learning potential, because the MindPrint assessment gives you the data, and then the course on that learner profile gives you the top 1, 2, 3 strategies they should really be using in that particular topic. So it is all cognitively based. It's just what topics you're going to use with that particular student, but all the rest is cognitive done for you.
Great. No, that's great. Thank you for providing that clarity. That's fantastic. Yeah, James appreciated that.
Yep.
All right. Everybody says great webinar. Great. It was great to have you all. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and say goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.